hey, now this particular content is what I call MX Live, which means that I'm live in a Discord call, but currently no one's here. So that means that no one should be here, and I would like no one to be here. But people will pop up, and if they do pop up, they'll just be talking randomly because they won't get the context. I'll be explaining the context over and over because we're using an experimental form of idea for a live podcast based on Discord calls that probably already exists in a more polished format, but we're just kind of being organic and having fun after hours. So, I just got back from seeing Alien, but I was going to originally model a door, but instead I realized, hey, it'd be cool UVing this and then painting it like basically this game called Marathon that we were admiring. Even though, the game might be delayed because of PlayStation firing everyone, let's get this thing exported. And, I'm not really the best UVer, so we're just going to, try to have fun here. If I have to install a few tools, I will. I already have them, I just haven't installed them yet. So, let's just jump in and just kind of get started. So I wanted to use nflow for this, kind of demonstrate how we can creatively use nflow for assisting with UVing. It's not made for this. It's not really made for even solving, but, I did like 12 hours of videos about it, so, who's solving now? So let's just get in here, have some fun. It's a little hot in here. I would turn on a second fan, but people will start complaining about audio issues. So let's just jump into edit mode, and we're going to create a brand new configuration called UV, and for this one we will first have select edge just under edge. So if you click on an edge, you will just select an edge. So let's give it a try. And which side is real? The other side. So that has been throwing me off all day. And so now that we can select an edge, we have these flows, right? We have these key flows that I tried to baby into the shape. And so maybe I can select around them and then basically UV them real fast. Like, for example, do we even need this interior geometry? That's a deeper philosophical question, but since I solved it, I'm not going to delete it. Like, I just don't feel like it, but I probably should. Let me know in the comments below. Let's press U and choose mark seam, and we're just going to paste that with Control C and Control V, and we're just going to change this to add. And now whenever we control click an edge, we can basically mark it. And if we alt click an edge, we want to unmark it. So let's press U, and we'll copy this, and we'll just set this up by alt clicking an edge with this also set to add. And what this means is that now we can go and select an edge, control click, alt click, same thing, click, control click. And that's just me thinking on the fly, like, hey, how am I going to do UVs in the form of a layout? Now whenever it comes to object mode, we probably want to just click and basically do UVing, right? So I would do just UV display, not really so much UVing. So we'll just grab that, put it here, and we'll just make this just regular display. So I might even disconnect from the call just to simplify things. And here we'll just set this up, and now that we're in object mode, we just click and it just displays UVs. And then if we are using Control Shift in edit mode, we can actually make that do the UV operation. Like if we want to just get down to UVing, we can just grab that like so. So let's press U, grab that, we'll paste it in, and this time we'll map it to Control and Shift and nothing. So if we just Control Shift click, we're able to do that, and then we're able to UV display what we're looking at. So just real fast, just what we're looking at, and then even get in here and mess with the settings of what we're receiving. So because we're preparing the mesh for UVing, we should probably iteratively save it. So I'm going to save it as UV because it's no longer a demo, it's now a UV file. So we'll be getting in here and dealing with things on an individual level, which means we'll be deciding like, hey, this model needs to be UV'd. So we'll select this, control click, control shift click, and then from object mode we can just left mouse click and just evaluate what we're receiving. And that will certainly do for now, unless we want to get even more pedantic with what we're basically getting here. But really, if we just look at this in object mode, that will certainly do for now. And then we'll get down to the nitty gritty of how we get these UVs together. So continuing on, I'm going to take this particular part and let's just play with the selection. So I'm just going to select a part, see how far our selection goes, see what we get, and just think about how I want to break this apart. I've always approached UVs like a serial killer, meaning that if we need to, also we want to set this to be add, so that way whenever we select, we're able to select a loop and add that loop to our selection. Basically the opposite of what we're getting here. So let's look at this. We're selecting a loop, and then we should be able to selectively add it. So because we can't, we'll just have to, be dynamic and think dynamic, even though that is something that I would consider possibly a bug. And bugs just follow me, but also I am pretty proactive and dedicated and annoying whenever it comes to them needing to be resolved and insinuating how strongly they need to be resolved. In fact, a lot of my personal issues can be traced back to disagreements over bug resolution, and how important it is to me versus to them. But to me, bugs are everything, as in they need to be removed or I'm going to lose everything, is kind of what I would say whenever it comes to bugs. So love me, hate me, please get rid of these bugs. So we'll just go ahead and grab this, hide it, and for this one we'll select this one all the way around like so. And we want to make sure that when we do loop select that we're dropped off into edge mode, because right there we were in face mode, and face mode is good whenever it comes to selection, but we don't need to actually select faces, we need to select edges. So we need to just be in edge mode. Dark side is edge mode, just be. Sorry to keep using that reference, it's just I'm a DC fan and a loser. None of my friends care about DC. For some reason DC people tend to be edgelords. Not a dig against DC fans, just it happens to us. You read about dark side too much, next thing you know you're dark siding people. So message to the wise, do not dark side your friends, ever. Just playing. I'm just having small banter while I'm working on this. Like, I'm probably going to take breaks and take shots because UVing is just one of those things that I really like a Cosmo while I do. But look, I only have Cosmos when I go out. Like, I wish I knew how to make them at home, but also I'm like weird about drinks. Like, if I have too many drinks and get wasted and end up sick, I get afraid of drinking, and I hate that. Like, I hate that feeling of being afraid of drinking because I got sick. So I really try to drink in moderation. So even though at 5 o'clock it's time to have a drink, it's more of a Mad Men type event, because what else do you do when 5 o'clock rings? How do you celebrate the end of the day? You celebrate the day everyone's home safe, because no one went out, which is important to me. It's important to keep everyone home safe and never get them tied up in the complications of the world. When you see movies like Crash, where that dude's wife was wrapped around a tree, right, and he had to come see her. No, wait, wasn't that Signs? Sorry, I got my movies confused, but yeah, I totally do not want my girl wrapped around a tree, all right, because it just isn't a good look for her. She will, like, right now she's making dinner, and I consider that a blessing, but if she was wrapped around a tree, she would actually tell me not to use this dialogue in a video, all right? So just know that she's better than me. She is. I was telling her some material in the car. She's like, look, this is all atrocious. Is this what you're saying to your audience? I'm like, yes. I'm sorry. So I gotta apologize to you guys. I'm canceling myself tonight. Do not collect go, do not pass go, do not collect, so and so. So we're just grabbing things and just isolating them and then hiding them. Like, I'm not a UV master. That's ZBrush's job. Sorry, just a ZBrush joke there. But I try my best whenever it comes to UVs, but I'm literally like feeding myself by force like a Metroid to try to push myself to the next level while also retaining my confidence. So really this is a very public crucifixion I'm trying to give myself, because I think it'll be beneficial to 3D in the whole, as a whole. Like, I want people to have the morale to want to do 3D and to try. And I'm talking to more and more people. They're like, yo, I'm just not even trying, bud. It's like, well, that's bad. That's big bad. Why are you not trying? But that goes back to kind of what I was actually talking about previously, is that nowadays children will fail. They will just fail because why bother? Success begets pressure. And, you know, I used to kind of think like that, but I see that now it's a widespread way of thinking. So, you know, I believe failure must be deeply analyzed ASAP. And instead, we're going to transition into a nation that's just going to become more aggressive with how we punish failure and how we try to hide it, right? So, and of course, our goal is to save the almighty dollar and to make money off of everything that we invest towards, right? So, as a result, I think teachers will be, you know, revolutionized, which means they'll be radically changed as far as what their roles are. I'm not even trying to say that in a negative way. I'm just saying, like, you know, it just happens in fields where, you know, there's just not as much love anymore. And of course, there's not going to be any love in the field of teaching. Like, kids are little brats and terrible to deal with. And also, you have to deal with their parents at the same time. So you're basically servicing them and their parents. So, I mean, it's just not good. And right here, I want to actually select all the way up. And I should pipe that in the form of selection hacking. But really, it's easier to just get around it like so, and then just go through and mark it, which we're jumping through this thing. I mean, my goal is not to waste your time, even if I'm not UVing very good. My goal is definitely to UV in a way that hopefully entertains. Like, my goal is to be an entertainer. I've talked about entertainment for years. You know, kids' birthday parties, underground sewer activity. Like, yo, if you need me under a sewer, I can do that, man. Like, I can get so many people under a sewer, possibly using Blender, not playing, just an underground sewer blender group. Like, I'm just looking at this wondering, why in the freak? Oh, you know what it is the other side doesn't have any loops. All right, my bad. I kept thinking it was mirrored. It's not mirrored. So I was misleading myself. And UVing is going to be tough on this model. Like, it's a complex model. But, you know, part of the victory lap is having the literal victory lap of getting in and showing this model, like, hey, I won. I conquered you. And, you know, this is a thing that we try to rush through with models, of course, because it's hard. But what does it mean to get in and actually just give it the energy it needs as a modifier, just a little training goof, guys? You know, nothing serious. I'm not saying, hey, all you guys are wrong, but I'm saying that we do need to probably be a little realistic with how we present 3D and all that. You know, like, what is the true job of 3D? Well, in terms of other programs, like, it is a little more complex what a 3D job is. Like, it's a lot more on the side of getting the asset nice and making it work in all of the programs. Like, I always discuss something called the MasterCard, which is just a asset that works in every program that you export it to. Because, you know, most of the time people are professionally dealing with your asset other places. And I'm just looking at this thinking, this is absolutely not the type of asset I would want to deal with on any level. I mean, we have some things overlapping, which the overlaps actually are quite terrible. So if we look at this, where is it connected at? It's like connected, it's not that one, it's not that one. Surprisingly, it's not that one, it's that one. So let us take this asset, isolate it, and think about what we're doing here. Why did it fail? Well, that is it. That is why it failed. And over in this layout, we do not have nflow enabled, and we need to be able to bring up the particular layout that we have over in this layout, which is over in modeling. So if we look at this, we have UV. We can come over here and copy this via this, and then when we go to UV editing, we can actually paste in that configuration and then jump over to it, and then we have it. So probably in a future update we'll have it where it's connected across all views if a user requests it. But these questions are what I call monkey paws, where basically I'm asked, hey, do you want it this way? And then basically the wrong answer results in something very serious. Like, you know, you guys are just like, oh, it's just a casual bug. But to me, these things result in serious logic errors that, you know, frustrate the coders whenever I'm like, hey, I need you to rewrite it to make it not dumb. And I'm just looking at my watch. It tells me that I burned a good amount of calories today. So I guess I have that to be proud of. You know, even being an emotional wreck of a person burns a lot of calories. And I make that joke all the time, and it probably doesn't make sense to anyone, and it's probably stupid. But yeah, totally, being a ninny burns so many calories, you guys. Like, I'm not saying y'all should all become like manic and weird, but it does burn a lot of calories, but not as much as actually burning calories. Don't get it twisted thinking that you can. And also over here, we're in a different view, so we'll just paste that same layout. I mean, I know it's weird, but we're just pasting and grabbing and, you know, just looking at what our UVs are. And I mean, these are not the best UVs. I'm not 100% pleased with them, but we are just getting through this. And I mean, to make it 100% pleasing, we would have everything fold out like the very finest of paper craft, which has always been my rule when it comes to UVs. Others may differ as far as their opinions go, but right now we're just kind of speed running UVs. Speed running UVs, the Master Xeon story. Just kidding. I shouldn't keep using that name. I don't deserve it, guys. But I hope to earn it. In fact, me playing with this gun, I just want an excuse to play with textures, guys. Like, I want to have very fine assets and then play with them, like just like toys. And when this gun is cleaned up, it will be a very fun asset to play with because it will be ready for the close-up. And not to say that booleans don't allow for close-ups, but I still want to also do that alien door. I mean, I get so distracted. I get so distracted, and I'm trying to curtail that because I see that you know, it isn't healthy, and it you know, is harmful, and it's part of the rut of, you know, instant validation. We're just drifting from validation to validation, just seeking instant joy. And you know, that's good and all, but at the end, we also got to do wholesome things that are that is life enriching. Sorry, I hate giving life advice in these videos. My editor will show me things like through the analysis. It's like, wow, this is what computers see me as, you know. And that's one of the ways I show AI to people. Like when I go to their houses, I'm like, hey, check out this rabbit. And they're like, what do I do with it? I'm like, I just pointed at him. I'm like, watch this. What's up with this guy? They're like, hey, he's disheveled, messy, you know, he needs to clean up. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude, they will say, this AI be spitting, bro. And that's how usually the conversation starts. But I'm kind of a tech evangelist. Like, I try to keep people in the know at least, so that way they're not like left behind in the digital dust. Like, I'm like, hey, kids passing school, good. In that case, you know, I ain't got nothing to worry about. But if they are failing school, I'm like, hey, you talking to AI? You got some AI to talk to? Because that's important. Like, you got to be able to chat with the future. You know, technology is such a gated thing. Like, you end up just being excluded just by existing, and you know, it just happens. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. So we'll just grab this, we'll unwrap, and then we'll draw the UVs, and I mean, this thing, good enough, good enough. In fact, let us bring this mesh back, and we're going to just press Q, and I'm going to basically do something where I give it the UV project, but I use shift, which gives it the custom material, and then I go in and delete this gizmo, and then on the mesh we just get rid of the UV project modifier. But now whenever we go into Alt V and we hit up okay, we're in cycles, let's get out of cycles, go back to EV. So if we press Alt V, we have solid textures toggle, and we could just use this material to analyze how good of a job we're doing whenever it comes to UVing these things. So let's Alt V just to bring it back, and we could select everything that we've UV'd so far and just Alt M and just give it that material, and it will just, you know, let us know how our UV's doing so far on this first pass of UVing. Just really rough running through UVing it. So we'll just call this UV, you know, just being a sarcastic ninny. You know, late at night I should go have that drink, but you know, I like to work up to it. Like, it'd be funny if you guys started to get into the lore canon that I'm some sort of alky, but I have these rules, like weirdo rules that make me no fun to know as a person, right? So people will be like, hey, you want to drink? I'm like, dude, if it's not 5 o'clock, that means that you're an alcoholic and you have drinking problems, and we should talk about that. And so people just don't have fun with me because I'm like a stick in the mud. You know, that's what I was telling you about at music night, where I'm talking about Olivia Newton-John. Like, dude, nobody wants to hear me talk about Olivia Newton-John. They're like, hey, why don't you listen to Drac? I'm like, no, I'm playing. I'm just calling him it's Drake. But yeah, why don't you listen to that boy Drac? It's like, that's not my type of music. Like, you mistaken me for a trivial person who listens to worldly noise. I do not. I actually listen to elegant noise made by very depressed musicians who, hey, they're serious as heck. Whatever message they're trying to say, it's their final message. They're not even saying it twice. Like, we are listening to some very, what I would consider to be very lovely music right now. Like, and that's my goal in life, is to listen to elegant music and to model elegantly. And I know these are like weird, stupid dreams, like to have for a tool, but that is me. Like, you're like, yo, what is MX's mission? It is literally to make sexy tools, because anyone can just make tools. Anyone can just make tools. But what is my contribution to the you know, the tool lore? Well, for one, I'm gonna try to be a weirdo. Also, I'm going to try to take it in directions that it hasn't been in. Like, I'm always looking at the world, just taking things away. Like, I was playing Persona 3 earlier, and my only thought was, dude, I could get to modeling and be planning that in my head, like my dreams, whatever those dreams are. Like, I can start putting them together in my mind, and that is magical to me. Like, that's what I get whenever I'm just sitting here blending. Like, I'm just lost in a universe. Like, you know, after we left Alien Romulus, I was boring my woman in the car by saying, hey, I should throw in more Blender terms into the add-on-verse. She's like, okay. She's such a champ. Alright, I'll probably marry her this year. I'm not even joking. I think I said that for like 10 years in content. Like, I'm just really weird about stuff, guys. Like, I am. I don't believe in myself. I'm a guy who's apart. Like, and I've always been that way. Just, you know, I'm just a guy, guys. Like, it's hard out here being a lonely Blender artist, but hey, we make the blends to make the ends. We make the blends meet. All right, that's it. Like, and also what I'm doing here, I hate. Like, I hate repetition. Like, when I do something one time and then I do it like 5 more times, I'm learning a hard lesson that, hey, this needs to be automated. Like, the muscle memory of pain will come back. And the fact that I'm not pressing U and we're just slapping UV seams, it's not lost on me. Like, there's a beauty here. Like, we are firing on all cylinders, guys. Like, we will mark a seam, and let's just look at what we have versus over here, where we have this. And every single one of these should be able to just be ripped. Alright, we're just making sure everything is on the right foot. So whenever we unwrap it, things don't go off the rails, because that will be bad. And then we grab this thing, and we got everything that we need except for right here. And also right here, where we need all of our seams. So now we are grabbing the right elements, including this part. And so, you know, we just grab everything, and let's, you know, Control Shift unwrap, and we get something like that. And let us just, you know, apply the mirror, and let's try it again, unwrap, and we get something like that. And really, that will do. You know, we Alt M, slap that with the UV, and another one bites the dust. So we don't have to get these perfect, but you know, we can come back and double back and check on these to make sure that they're right. And I'm really loving this solid isolated view to just work in. Like, it's really letting me just kind of analyze my topology, but also just slap these seams just real fast, which, you know, UVing is just one of those things that's just not fun. And I want everything to be enhanced. Like, that is why I say it all the time, I'm confident in this tool, confident in this idea. And, you know, I've already dealt with my share of detractors. Haters gonna hate, lovers gonna love. But Ruheldra and her gauntlet from heaven above, just punching demons day and night, like howdy stranger. So we're just trying to unwrap this kind of fast. I'm just looking at this thinking, you know, are we the baddies? Just playing. But I mean, when it comes to UVs, we just select a seam, and if it makes the connection, yeah, are we the baddies? And the answer is yes, we are the UV baddies in town. So we grab this, we unwrap, we draw it, and, you know, we just look at it, and I think, hey, that's gonna work, you know. And I of course can be lazy mode. I can just drop this whole thing into Substance Painter and just let them auto unwrap it. But why would I do that? We've taken this gun on such a journey together, and why would we just at the end let it just be taken away from us? So let's just drop some UVs. And really, this, I would like to have our select able to accentuate it, because this is not nice. I mean, it's nicer, but, you know, it's not as nice as it can be. So I've been focused on modeling, but every facet can receive a degree of efficiency that can improve, like, everyone's lives that are hyper focused on certain aspects. You know, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, hey, we'll make a super tool, but I do want to make something that pleases most people. And definitely, if you're a customer, I care about ensuring that you have a nice experience. You know, consider me your host. So let us just unwrap. And hey, you're gonna come back and say, hey, you're a terrible host. I hate Blender. Because Blender isn't a program able to be hosted. It's a program barely able to be loved. Alright? And I love it a lot. More than a friend. Like, people love Jesus. Well, Blender is my savior. I was living a very different life before Blender, and as a result, I really, really love this program. It's a program to keep you out of trouble. You know, let's look at this thing. So we have lines happening right in the middle, and also we have the mirror, so we want to jump down and possibly do a correction to this, because there we go. So something like that will certainly do as far as improvement goes. And we also want to do the same thing on the other side. You know, who knows what sort of mesh mishap could cause this, but our proactivity, Jesus, we'll ignore that happened. And let's go back into nflow, and we'll select, and let's also put a seam right here just in case, and we'll select that and make a seam as well. They just love having these sort of seams happening on the mesh. So we'll perform a selection all the way around, and then of course this thing, which we can just hold control and paint a few seams, drop a few more seams, and we are looking good in the hood. So let us go into object mode, apply, and select everything. We'll unwrap and then take a look at what we have, and I see that there's a portion here that we could possibly improve on by just breaking it open like so. So we'll just unwrap, take a look at it, and yeah, now that is something that UV Packmaster would probably be able to take advantage of, assuming that we use it. We could probably get away with it, but I do want to try UDIMs. I've actually never used UDIMs in a tutorial, so I think that could be very cool, depending on if you describe cool as 3D modeling techniques in a video done by Wash Up. Just kidding. I gotta stop being so hard on myself. It'll take hope away from other people, but listen, 3D is all about humility. You know, it's such a small industry that if you are running around with a toxic ego, it will affect you in the field. So, you know, it's important to remain humble. You know, like if I meet someone and they are giving me advice, that advice is very important to me. What isn't important is proving my own worth to them, because, you know, that should be proven on its own. It shouldn't require assistance from me. So we'll press W, select this loop, get rid of it, take a look at the other side. We don't have that sort of issue here. And, you know, this almost works, except that it does not work. So let's select that. Let's select that. And we can take a look at it now. And that's all. That almost works, except let's unwrap and take a look at it now. And that almost works, except it does not work at all. So let's unwrap and take a look at it, and that actually will work, even though that is like basically what we looked at twice. We'll slap some UVs on it in the form of a UV material, and continue on with our onslaught. So I'm going to try to stop the video at like an hour, just in case you know, I'm getting overtime. You know, I don't like all the complaints really, but I do see that, you know, complaints are just a part of life, and, you know, I will always be dealing with that, and that is life, just playing. But it is, it is part of my orientation too. Whenever I introduce people to this field, I'm like, hey, if you mess up, you're gonna be Mr. Popular, and that's if you're lucky. If you're lucky, you're Mr. Popular, and you're getting a bunch of hate mail. Otherwise, you're Mr. Unpopular, and you're getting no hate emails, but your product is also in dire need of repair. So I spend a lot of time just introducing people to things, and, you know, pitching plans that, you know, are declined for good reason. You know, not all plans are good plans. I'm not saying I'm the king of plans and you should just accept every plan. Like, I have this idea for a keyboard that you can put inside your jacket and then deploy it when you're on the go, because if you're a person like me, you actually care more about typing up emails to customers on the go anywhere than you do about actually looking normal at all. Because, you know, what looks normal to me is actually having customer issues resolved, and what looks abnormal to me is not. And being in an airport and just having anxiety because a customer is like, hey, I'm struggling with your product that I just purchased. Where's the documentation? And of course there's no documentation. It says on the page, no documentation until like version 3. Like, I just want to go a few rounds where I get user input about what it is that you guys need, and then after we satiate you, which I should stop saying, I sound like I'm gonna come over and I'm not. Alright, MX doesn't offer those sort of services, for one. Alright, I'm only a voyeur, just playing. I can't even make those jokes. And we're just looking at this. There's probably a mesh in here that I hid So let us Alt H, and then we go in the local mode, and let's H, and we just come back with this mesh, and that one actually looks like it's competent. So we'll leave that. You know, we weren't going for perfection. If we go too perfect, then yeah, people will be able to 3D print this thing. And just continuing on, we are just I'm just suddenly remembering all the UV tools that used to be part of the UV repertoire, and how probably they've all been taken over now, all unified. I mean, that's usually what happens with a subsector. You know, it's just all concentrate. So, you know, basically everyone recommending me UV Packmaster is probably right. So that is that area. We look at this. This is that area. We are trying to look for that area. No. All right. So this area, and we look at this, and it's that. Wait, what? All right, and we look at that, and that part's fine. And we look at that, and that part is fine. So there is something else that we need to be looking at, which I think is over on this side. We just have to look at this whole blob that was hidden in edit mode, which represents an entirely other mesh. And I'm actually pretty exhausted for today. Not saying that in a I'm going to quit sort of way, just, you know, I'm brutal to myself, like my body. Like, I just treat myself like I'm piloting myself. Like, I'm like, hey, this ain't my car. This ain't my car. And then I'm just going to run it into the ground. But really, it is my car. And it's the only car you got. So, did I ever tell you the tragedy of Dark Plagueis the Wise? No, I'm playing. He blended himself to death. And for all the power, he thought he could save her. But she was for the streets, and she didn't need saving. Alright, so that's just a little random blender humor. You know, you gotta just keep the jokes flowing. Alright. In fact, the people who are telling me, hey, I'm tuning in, man. I'm tuning in for the show. I'm like, hey, you stop indulging me right now. Alright. But don't be telling me that you be watching my videos and quote a short to me, because I will get mad. I'll be like, hey, you are a bum, alright? And I see through this, and I don't accept it, because this is bum activity, alright? And an insult to my intelligence. Like, I'm telling you guys, I am a weirdo. I'm like impossible to be friends with, because I'm always thinking and overthinking. I'm like, hey, I was thinking about this the other day. They're like, why? I'm like, I don't know. What do you think about? You think about me? I'll play. So we are just marking some seams. Marking seams, making memes. Alright. And this music really makes me kind of zone out whenever I'm modeling. Like, I'm so used to kind of living in a hypnotic state whenever I'm listening to this, that it is hard to remain focused, because, like, you know, that's the AI music will kind of keep me into reality, just because it's kind of keeps me in an analytical state. Not trying to justify it, just saying I'm in an analytical state, because I'm like really looking at what the heck this music is trying to do, so I don't trust it. And with this music, because it's made by the world famous, world greatest ever, let us just display this one. And how well do we want to handle this as far as unwrapping goes? Well, I would say let's make a selection here, reflection here. We'll finish that in. We'll do the same thing here. Just make sure that this is selected all the way around. Since we didn't baby the flow, we gotta baby the flow now. And strangely, during this UV phase, we don't have a lot as far as topological corrections go. But, you know, we're just getting in here and just UVing. And let us unwrap and then display. I'm just looking at this thinking, which part is getting weird? Is it that part? No, that works. And then let's look at this one. So we have this piece at the bottom, which means we get this piece, which I don't like all the overlapping, but I'm just thinking out loud here. You know, there's always work to be done. So with every piece of work, it exposes more work to be done, and it's a very difficult skill for me to learn to just kind of chill out on it at certain times. Like sometimes, you know, after 5 o'clock, I gotta just chill out. You know, I don't necessarily require everything all the time, even though, you know, I do have a bit of urgency just inherently to me, just a baked-in timer. And something like that looks acceptable, even though I kind of don't accept it, but we will come back to that. So let us just slap a UV on this as well. And we are just jumping through these UVs, trying to get this thing exported, because, you know, it's easy to set it up in Blender. It's hard to set it up over in Substance Painter, unless we just let them auto UV it. Then it'll be over there in the next 5 minutes. But I don't want to do that to this mesh. We didn't solve it, take it through all of this, move heaven and earth itself to get a good solve happening with this mesh, and then just hand it over in an inadequate state and just let it be auto solved. Like that would just be that would be terrible. That would be a disservice to the mesh, the artist, me. You know, why do a 15-part video if I'm just going to take the easy ticket in the end? So we will just continue on being manual. I'm just going to exit out. We call that flowing out. Looking at it, it looks like this part is probably fine. In fact, this mesh is that simple. So let us apply the mesh, and we will unwrap, display it, just see what we have. And, you know, we can give that a material through the material menu. Let's give this another command just through us being weirdos. Let's try it. And we're just going to apply a material, and we're going to do it on Alt and object mode. So boom. So now we just have the ability to just slap a material whenever we're done at the very end, just in object mode. We don't have it filtered to object mode, but we're just creating a UV system, and we're just having fun with it, just goofing off, messing around, you know, just showing how, you know, you can just use nflow creatively and realistically. Like, you know, this video could be like, hey, you can just do this and then I'll leave, and then y'all just are writing me with endless support emails that are just like, yo, this don't work. It's like, of course that doesn't work. That is not even how 3D software works. But we're now able to get in here and just very quickly just set ourselves up, put a material on it, jump from mesh to mesh, and really be efficient without having to struggle. And, you know, that's part of what this tool is all about, is you identify a pattern, and then you just make sure that you're able to efficiently do that pattern. Even though you have to do it over and over, let's improve the human condition when it comes to doing that. I think one of the videos I took down was talking about how I champion the human condition. Like, I personally believe very much so in the human condition, but also believe in, you know, the variability of human diligence. You know, like man is, it's so easy to give up. And in fact, in my life, I study myself giving up and being a quitty McQuitter pants. Like I'm like, yo, this excuse I just gave myself is insane. Yo, I just excused myself for the entire day by just saying, yo, I'm busy. It's like, dude, you hit him with the old trusty, dude. The old I'm too busy, dude. Game over. Game over for everyone involved. You know, most people don't even have a reply to it. They're just like, oh, okay, well, peace. You hit him with the yeah, I'm too busy. You know, try it out for me. Hey, why do you get the tool? Too busy. Alright. Well, peace out, bro. You know, it's the MX2 I'm too busy campaign. Just, yo, just be too busy, dude. Get busy. If you're not busy, then yeah, you probably do need the tool. But if you are busy, then obviously don't pick it up. You got a wedding to go to. You got like life to live. And in those cases, you know, that's more important than the tool, but only barely. All right, so let's see which one of these is probably the offender. That one's fine. Let's see. Let's try this one again. And that one did not. You know, we can. I would just put a line here, and we're just making sure that there's no weirdness happening. So we'll unwrap and take a look at it, and you know that will do. Let's Alt H unhide it all, unwrap, display, and you know those UVs look slightly better, except for one particular set that I just don't like the look of it. So let us get in here and draw our UVs. So this one came out as good as it gets. Let's take a look at this one. I would say that this one needs a seam here, and a seam here, and here. And if we just allow it to be unwrapped like so, we are good to go. And then we go up here and we also unwrap it and take a look at it. And you know, even though I can't really see the picture that good, I'm assuming that we did, you know, the Lord's work, even though we did it. So let's alt click these just to make sure that we are not adding seams to it. And then let's unwrap it again, and I think that's looking a lot better. So if we Alt H it, grab everything, unwrap it, display them in edit mode, that's what we're getting so far, just for just the handle. So if I were to export this, like to give it maximum quality, I'd probably have to give it a UV set per a UV material per thing. It would just be the craziest UDIM with like 40 materials, just so I can swing around the surface and look at it very good and have fun with the materials. But I'm actually not good at those things. Like, so doing it together will definitely be fearsome, nerve-wracking, annoying, and I will want to give up and regret doing it. And you know, with that, maybe we can have some fun with it. So let us select, let's mark a seam, select this area, we'll mark a seam, and I'm going to isolate just this side. And we'll just, you know, select this seam, mark it, and with this whole thing selected, we can now unwrap UV display. And even though that's curved, we could probably just come back to that, or this piece is so small and insignificant that maybe I just don't need to worry about that. And then someone in the comments is saying, you're small and insignificant, and I'm like, I know. So from here, what we want to do is press W to what I call flow out. Got to use a better term for that. Sounds like something in oil filled or maxi pads, but we're selling neither maxi pads nor oil filled equipment, so I think we'll be able to get away with it. So looking at the clock, it's at the 49-minute mark. I think after this part one, I can pause. And I was originally going to start the next project today, but I'm determined to basically complete the job. Like, complete the job and get the result to an adequate result, because it's so easy to give up. It's a comfort food to just move on to the next project. And really in these end times, people are needing the finished result. So we're going to have to get in there and get those finished results. So next one is this piece. We'll take it in local mode just to give it a inspection. And even though we're looking at an edit mode, which I never like, we are able to, go in and turn that off, and then just slap some quick UVs on this thing. I got to make sure that we're always dealing with the correct side of the mirror. If you're dealing with the wrong side of the mirror, obviously it's just not going to work because your mesh is fake. So we'll unwrap and then display, and we're looking good. So let's apply the mirror, and we'll just do that again. We'll unwrap and then display, and we're almost there, except for this piece, which will highlight like so. Could just use an isolation, and we want to get out and then go back in, mark seam, Alt H, select everything, unwrap, draw UVs edit mode. So that is the UVs that we're walking away with, and I would consider that a success. So I mean, these parts are so simple that really we shouldn't even be spending the time that we're spending on them, because they're just nothing. But let us locate the original part, the ground zero, which I don't know which one is the ground zero. Let's exit the tool for a moment. Okay, and so we want to grab these two faces and just get rid of them, just so we can unwrap them, slap it with a UV material, which we did not need to do in the fashion that we did. We could have just hit it with the wham bam that we have been going through on whooping our way through this model. But yeah, what I'll do is pause this part for now, and then I'll jump in and actually get in and finish the job. So hopefully you enjoyed this first section, and then we'll get through and find UV, get really pedantic with the UVs, have some fun, really study it, find out how we can improve our UVs, be the best at it, and go forward with it.
And I know how tough it is some days to look with hope and confidence on the months and years ahead. But I would like to tell you what I often told you when you were much younger. I like you just the way you are.
Hit me up when the mood's right. In the moonlight, we can walk and talk. I don't wanna fuss, I don't fight, but it's been 10 years, we should catch up. Hit me up when you feel safe. You pick the place we can walk and talk. If it ain't rushed, it ain't fake. I just hope I'm getting through to you. I feel some type of guilt. It happens all the time. I'm the same, I feel it too. Face to face in a public space. It happens all the time. Cause we know what not to do. We can bend the rules. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules. Bend the rules. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules to see each other. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules. It's what we choose. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules to see each other. Hit me up when the time's right. In the twilight we can walk and talk. I guess we've both been through it, but it's been 10 years. I wanna know how you're doing. Call me up if you can't sleep. Don't wanna read, we can pillow talk. Or we can be friends and I'll creep. I just hope I'm getting through to you. I feel some type of guilt. It happens all the time. I'm the same, I feel it too. Face to face in a public space. It happens all the time. Cause we know what not to do. We can bend the rules. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules. Bend the rules. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules to see each other. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules. It's what we choose. It's nothing wrong if we can bend the rules to see each other. Hit me up when the moon's right. In the moonlight, when the moon's right. Hit me up when the moon's right. But it's been 10 years, we should fight.